Hi everyone, welcome back to another For Those Who Code video. This channel is where we learn and share skills about design and development. If you want to grow your skills and learn new things that's coming up, please like, share and subscribe for more. So in this video, we'll learn and implement a simple messaging form with the help of XState as our state management library. Definitely, as our application grows, we need to care about maintaining the state of our application, right? The popular ones for the state management are MobX, Redux, Redux context with hooks, Recall, and definitely XState as well. So let's take a look at what we are trying to. So basically, we will achieve this with our XT library and inside of our React project, and we will be also using Airtable because it's really handy to like just use the Airtable API. So what we will have here is just a name, email, phone number, and tell us about your project field and a call to action, which sends this particular form to our Airtable. So if I write coder Harry and then email address harry@gmail.com and maybe a random phone number, I want to start my project uh, with confidence. So basically this one, and if we hit on send a message and it shows a loader, and then finally we will have a confirmation, thank you for contacting us and we'll get back to you soon. But definitely we don't have pretty much styling. And if you go to our Airtable and see here that our the form that we have just submitted is inside of our Airtable. So behind the scene, we are making the use of XState to manage all the state of our application. So let's get into a basic quick introduction of XState.
Guys, I have a special giveaway for you all. I have a discount coupon code for scraperapi.com. Well, Scraper API is a platform which helps you in scraping online data, handle proxies, browsers, and captchas as well. Scraper API is great when it comes to scraping data. As their website says, they handle more than 5 billion API requests per month used in more than 1,500 business and developers around the world. You can also go to the features provided in their official documentation website, which is scraperapi.com, and do grab your discount coupon and start scraping by using the discount coupon added below in the description. They obviously provide first 1000 API calls for free, but if you need more requests, start scraping by using the discount coupon added in the description to grab 10% off your purchase plan.
So basically, we'll cover some of the basics of XState, and I think after this video, you'll get comfortable with getting started with XState yourself as well. So first of all, what is XState? If you guys don't know what is XState, XState is a library that brings state management to JavaScript and TypeScript application. So XState is not pre-agnostic to any kind of frameworks, but it's generally we can use it inside of our JavaScript and TypeScript application as well. So XState helps in creating, interpreting, and educating finite state machines and state charts. So a finite state machine is a mathematical model of computation that describes the behavior of a system that can be in only one state at a time. So basically, we are dealing with one state at a time. So that's like the word to be focused on. So one state at a time. If we just take a look at this particular example right here, this is Hello World example of X state, and it's one of the most popular example out there. So we have three states right here, and which is green, yellow, and red, and we call it traffic lights, right? So if we just start with the green, and the next state would be yellow, and the next state would be red, right? So we don't have any two state in one state. I mean, if we don't have green and yellow once at the same time, right? So we will just have green, we'll just have yellow, and just have red, and also it goes back to green as well. So one state at a time. So coming back to this definition, finite state machine is a mathematical model which is backed by research, and this describes the behavior of a system in one state at a given time. So basically we are traveling through these states inside of our application, and these states are guided by the actions that the user takes in the application. So we also have something called the state visualizer. So let's try to visualize this particular thing right here inside of our visualizer as well. To navigate to the XState Visualizer, you can head on to xstate.js.org, which is the official documentation of XState. And said here we can see a visualizer, which I have already opened here. So by default, we do have a simple machine right here, but we'll be starting from something really basic. For now, let's remove this one, and let's go through right what we have here, right? So basically our state machine takes an ID, so we need to give it an ID and call it traffic lights, or let's call it just traffic. And our initial state, green, I'm really poor at typing, so initial state is green, right? And then we don't have any context for now. I'll come to context later on. And for our state we will just have three states, right? Red and green and then yellow, right? And if we hit on our update, then we can see red, green and yellow, right? So first can be initial is can be red. So if we take a look at this pointer, it goes to red. So this is basically our initial state is red, and we have the three state right here. So now another question would be, how do we navigate to these states, right? So these states can be navigated with the help of something called, let's see here, which is events. So event causes a state machine to transition from its current state to the next state, right? So and how can we trigger the event? So basically we can trigger the event with something with on, which is on click go to, right? In this particular case we have states, and we have 1, 2 and 3, which is a type of state. And inside, when we are inside on one state, and if user hits on click or invokes this particular event, then it triggers or moves to 2. And if we have, I think this is for the skipped machine, so we don't have anything right here, so it goes to 3. So basically we have on and click, and this we can also provide the next transition to state as well. So and we can also send down some actions to our event as well. So we'll come after these actions as well, but basically inside our red we can just have our on, which is if the user clicks, then we will move to the next, which is yellow. Red can be, yeah, I need to just reorder it. So yeah, it would be, the next would be yellow, and if it's yellow, the next would be green, and if it's green, then the next would be again red. What we have here is made our simple state for our traffic lights. So initially it would be in red, and then states are green, yellow and red. And if a user clicks on any event, it goes to the next, which is yellow. And if it's inside yellow state, if it clicks on next, it becomes red. And inside red, if the user clicks on next, it goes to green. As you can see here, we have next, green, yellow, red, green, yellow and red, which is great. So let's get back to our previous example right here. So let's refresh this one, and then yeah, So coming back to this example right here, it's pretty straightforward as well. So basically we have an ID. Obviously we need a unique identifier for each of our state machine. So initially it would be idle, and the context is generally where our state lives, where our values of our state that we want to track lives, which is retries is initially 0, and it sooner will be updated later on when our app um, goes to that particular state. Um, so basically it's just where our state lives, and it's the value. And then inside our state we have idle state, loading state, success state, and failure state, right? We have idle, loading, success, and failure. And inside our idle state, if we just trigger the fetch event and we go to loading state, and if we just inside our idle state trigger to fetch event, we go to loading state, and inside here we can have resolve or reject, which is something kind of like represents a promise. And a promise basically is itself serves as a kind of a state where it has resolve and reject, the two things, right? Whether it will be resolved, whether else it will be rejected, not two things at the same time. So loading, then if we have the resolve, then we go to success state. In case we have reject, we go to the failure state, right? So inside our failure state we have something called retry. So we can retry to fetch, uh, retry and go back to loading as well. And then if we see here, if we have success, we reach the final, which is type final is the last. It denotes that this is the last state, then it cannot proceed to another state after success. So we can denote it by type final. So inside our failure state, if we retry, then we go again to target loading, which is go back to loading state. And then our the context we have, which is retries, is sorry uh, the context we have, which is retries, is updated with just +1, right? So we just access the context and event where we add the context dot retries +1, right? So yeah, basically that's it. And then if we fetch, go to loading, go to reject, and we have the failure. And if we retry and go back to loading, reject and failure. And if we go to our state tab right here, and then we can see that our context, which is our state that we are making we are currently tracking, is retries, and it would just get updated. As you can see here, we have 2, reject, and again retry, we have 3. And then current value of our state where we are is the value which is loading right here, and resolve, and it's success. So it's right here. So you can also track events if you want to. So just right now we have a fetch event, we have reject, and we can even track the events that we want to. So basically it's really great to visualize what we are trying to build. So let's build our simple form, which kind of resemble this one, but we generally don't use this context of retries here. So basically we'll be figuring out the different state for our form submission first of all. So let's get to so now let's write down a different state for our simple form submission. So we are just scratching the surface of XState, and definitely I don't call myself a pro or perfectionist in XState, but I'm still trying to learning it and figuring out, but it's really vast down there. So for our forms, I will just quickly write some states that's needed for our form. So basically we have our state machine ready for our forms, and generally we have added some context which is for the fields, error, and created. but we can skip created for now. And then we have states, which is idle, submitting, success, and failed, which is straightforward. And if we are inside of our idle state, if we trigger the send or invoke the send or dispatch the send event, we go to submitting, and inside our submitting we can have resolve and reject. If it's resolved, then a target would be success, and definitely we want to assign our fields with the event.data that we received as well. And in rejected, we want to target failed as well. And also inside field, what we want to do here is we want to again submit form if the form submission has been filled as well. So inside the field state, we want to again go to submitting, back to submitting, and we want to somewhat kind of retry this one as well. So the first state is idle. If we send the form, then it goes to the submitting state, and we can resolve or reject this particular event that's coming. So if we just reject this one, we can just send again and go back to submitting as well. And if we resolve, then this goes to success. And furthermore, we cannot go to any of the states because this is the final state. We can also add something called type final right here, I guess. So basically this is the current state, and it's pretty much simple for now, and we'll be using this particular thing right here inside our React project, and we'll also hook in Airtable API. I've already created the project with create React app, and then I have already added some dependencies right here, which is XState and XState React, and also added Airtable because we'll be also using Airtable for our API calls. So and basically what can we see here in our local server is basically a simple component that's added, and then we have name, email, phone number, and tell us about your project. So particularly we don't have a call to action button because we are going to build that one first. So let's go into components, and inside our submit button we want to generally pass down a function as a prop to this submit button. We can achieve that with the help of add a click submit, which would be passed down to this component, and this would be on click, then and go to our main component inside our contact form, and inside here we will first try to import our submit form, our submit button right here, and we will paste down the submit button just before our form, and just close this one. So inside our submit button right here, we want to generally pass a function which generally have all these fields values, and then we'll grab all these fields values and we will do the API call for our Airtable. And we'll also be managing state behind the scene as well. So inside our submit, we can call click submit, and then after hitting on the click submit, we can just write down a function where we will have send message as our function, which will be invoked after clicking on this one. So let's create a constant right here, which is send message. Call this one send the form, and hit on save. And if we just inspect this one, we should just see that function as a prop passed into our submit button right here, and definitely calls this send message, which prints out this one. So we don't need to fill in the value, but send the form. Okay, so basically we are triggering this function. So what we want to do now is create a constant and call it name, and we want to make the use of useRef to get the current value of our fields, but you can still use it via with the help of onChain handler or use any useState hook, but I'll be sticking with useRef. So I'll be also be importing useRef up here, and then first thing would be name, second would be address, phone, about, right? So address, phone, and about, and we want to use this particular thing right here inside of our input fields, because we want to grab that value, which is name right here, and inside input we have address, and then inside another input we have number, and inside another we have about, right? So I think phone number is missing because I just wrote number. So yeah, basically that's it. And we want to also create another constant and call it name, because we want to call this particular thing the same thing that we have inside our Airtable, so which should be something called name. So we'll visit that one later on as well. So inside name we want to grab name dot current dot value and assign that constant this value, and also same goes with address, phone, and about, and just simply console log the values that we have inside our fields. And if we type something here, then we should see that value that we write here should be console printed out here, which is great that we are making the use of this particular value right here. So now the next thing would be creating our state of our application. So for creating state, I have already created a folder called it state, and inside here I have added empty file which is index. Let's go ahead and add some state inside of our index.js, and we will grab the same thing that we wrote here inside of our visualizer, and we will do some minor tweaks right here, and we will use this one inside of our index.js. Firstly, we want to import our create context from our React, because we'll be using create context from React. And we also definitely need is assign and machine. Assigned basically assigns the current context to the values, and the machine is obviously we need the machine from our XState. These are the things that we need, and obviously we want to export a constant and call it machine context, and we want to bring in this particular thing that we wrote right here, which is fetch machine. Paste it right here, and we want to tweak a bit of things right here. So we also want to export this POR, to export this constant as well, and let's call it app machine, because we will be just using this particular machine for now, and we won't be adding any other machines inside of our this machine. So basically it would have let's call this app, and the initial would be idle, and the context we are trying to make the track of is fields and error. That's fine. And inside our states we'll have idle, and for now we can just keep it blank. Inside of our submitting we can tweak a little bit, change on this one. We can have success, and then we can just transfer this on, I think right after, uh, or let's say right after our state is just closed. So every on handler or transition between the our states goes inside here. So we will have a send, and then after we just send any event, we will target sending. So it goes back to sending, or I have added submitting. Let's change to sending, and inside here we want to tweak a little bit and add um, more to this one. So I will when the state enters sending, I want to invoke um, an event where we can give it an ID of send message as well, and we want to trigger and trigger a function which we will definitely define it, and we want to call that send message as well. And but when we complete our this function right here, when we have a success to this function, we will go to another state. If we just have on error, we will go to another state, right? So inside our on done, we want to target our success and move towards success state. And also we want to assign the fields that we tracked. And if we have this particular invoke successful, then obviously we will have our data. So we will also assign that data to our fields right here, and which takes in context, which can be called ctx. And if it has an underscore in front of it, we are not really using context in that case. So event dot data, which is actions actually, and we yeah. So and we have on error, and if we have on error, we will simply go to error. Basically this is it, but we definitely haven't created any send message thing right here. So also let's add send message function right here on the top. So a constant called send message, which can be a synchronous function, and which takes context and event as a parameter, and then we can call our API inside of here. So let's console log our event, because inside our event we need to grab the form values that we submitted as well. So these form values should be inside this event dot data, or I think it's inside event. So let's console log this one, and we will obviously have our API calls here as well. And basically this is it. Let's move to our contact form, and inside here we want to make the use of use context as well, because we want that to be used for our machine. So const machine send to machine, send machine, and then use context right here. And then basically machine holds our value, send to machine sends the data to the machine. And then we will also need is the machine context, which we haven't imported. So machine context from our state and then index, and use this particular machine context inside of our use context right here. And we have this machine, we have this into machine as well, and we basically want to send an event with this particular thing right here. So what we want to send, so send to machine, right? We want to, in case of Redux, we dispatch an event, right? So we had the same kind of thing. We want to dispatch something, but it's called send. So we want to call this one right here, which is send, right? And on send, target sending, if I just kind of like dispatch send or send down send, then it goes to sending. And inside sending, we invoked a function called send message, which is inside here, which calls the API with the data inside of our event. So inside our right here, we have something called send. And what do we want to send? So definitely we want to send these data that we filled, right? So address, phone, and about. Format a bit and hit on save. Machine is assigned, but the value is never used. Okay, so basically we can use this one inside of our, maybe probably around form tags or inside here. So machine dot current, I think it's machine dot matches. So ch matches. Now, so it's basically if it matches that particular state that we have, which is first it's idle. If it matches the idle state, then we print out this particular thing that we see here inside of our user interface. So this is in idle state. Let's print this one. So if we hit on save, then the last thing that we want to do is we want to go to app.js, and we haven't wrapped our overall application inside a provider. So let's go ahead and also wrap our application with XState provider that it's provide. And so for that one, we will first need to import our use state from our XState React use machine. I think we need a use machine from XState React, and we also want to import app machine and machine context from our state, which we have exported app machine, and also machine context, which we have exported from our state inside of our app.js file. So import, we will use the destructuring, and we want to basically call the name export, if I'm correct, app or machine context from state. And then we also have the contact form ready, and inside of our main function app right here, we will also make the use of current machine, and then also send to machine. Basically it doesn't have a bracket, but I just remove the bracket and it works for now. Then if we just look at our UI, then we can see that this is the idle state, right? And if we just write something right here and send, then that particular message we don't longer see there, right? Because we are into our different state, and the state that we are in right now is from idle to sending, obviously, and we haven't transitioned between success and failure. And we have the object printed right here, which is API call here. So which is great, right? So generally we have the access to our name, address, phone, and about inside of our main index.js file, which is inside event. So let's restructure that event and get down those values, and we can hit the Airtable API call inside. Now let's take a look at what I've written here. So generally inside our event, we have to destructure the kind of like props that we passed in, which is name, address, phone, and about, which is inside event, and we destructure it. And generally for the Airtable to work, we want to format that particular thing inside of our records, and then we have the key for our fields, and then we have the values, right? So basically we are trying to like restructure this particular thing and keep records and fields right here. And we have just added a try and catch block. Definitely we grabbed this Airtable endpoint, and it's a post request, and along with the headers we want to um, post this particular form inside of our Airtable, and definitely we want to stringify before posting as well. So let's hit a save. And if we just take a look at the app, then I think before taking a look at the app, let's also go ahead and add some something inside of our submit button. So I want inside our contact form, I want to make the track of each state, right? If we are in idle state, let's refresh this one. We are in idle state, that's why we have this is the idle state. I want to print out every message that we see as per the state changes, right? So for that one, we can definitely add some machine.matches, then write our state, which is inside of our um, uh, index.js, which is whether it's sending, idle, success, or error. So I'll just add those inside of our machine.matches, sending, success, error, and then we will see the final output in the browser. I've added some minor tricks to our contact form, and inside here we just trying to match that particular state and giving that UI to the users. So basically, if it's sending, we see this UI. We have success, we see this UI. All is tracked from our index.js. Inside of our state, we have sending, a success, error. So I have added these. Let's save it and see it in the browser. And if I write my name right here, which is my email, sorry, it's gmail.com. All right, and my phone number, and then I want to start my project. Okay, so let's send a message, and we see the loader because we are in the sending state, right? And we see the loader, and if we have a success, we must see thank you for contacting us, and we see thank you for contacting us, we'll get back soon. But we have like a poor kind of CSS styling going on, but definitely. And if we have a success, we must see some message inside of our Airtable, which is right here. We can see my name, and then my email, phone, and about right here, which says that our state is being tracked and we have successfully sent our message into our Airtable API, right? So guys, in this video, we just scratched the surface and understood some basics of XState. We'll definitely be covering some advanced topics like guards and invoking services in our later videos as well. Thank you so much for watching my videos. If you guys want to learn more about design and development, please like, share, and subscribe with a click down below. I'll be trying to make more better videos like this. See you in the next one.